Time to get on with some painting preparation. Process I'm going to go through is hit the whole thing with wet and dry sandpaper. That's what Raptor told me to do. It takes the luster and any crap off the Duragels. There's crap that gets on it during manufacturing, but also during delivery, and then obviously what I've put on it since I've been working on it as well. So hit the whole thing with an electric sander. I've done this bit here. I don't know if you can tell any difference from the rest of the chassis at the rear there, but it just takes the shine off, makes it a bit dull, gives it a bit of texture. That'll hold the etch primer much better than a shiny finish. As part of the process of preparation as well, I need to, after I've done all that sanding, I've done all the grinding of the welds, make sure they're the right heights, then clean the whole thing after I've sanded it with Metho. So just wipe the entire thing down. That's what Raptor recommended as well. Yeah, so I've just basically covered every area that's going to have either a floor or wall glued to it. So the walls will sit in here. So there'll be glue on those two surfaces, and then a floor will sit on top of that. So there'll be glue on top of that surface as well. The only exception to that is where I've got a weld and a grind. I figure I should get a coat of etch primer on that just to stop it from ever corroding, rusting later on. It will be covered by lots of glue on the floor, which will probably protect it, but I think it's probably wise just to put a coat on that. It won't compromise the strength of the glue over the rest of the floor area that's taped. Managed to get a couple of pieces of steel sheet offcuts, 1.6 mil. I'll be able to finish those guards today, which is good, so I'll get those welded and on. What I couldn't get was something to go around the tail lights. And there was nothing available like a U-channel or similar that was ready-made, so I'm gonna have to make my own. I'll just use some 3mm flat bar, put a piece top and bottom, cut the profile back a bit and weld them on, and then hopefully I can get them looking okay. There's been a casualty. Check that out. Too hard on the gear. I have to pull some old ones out of the back of the cupboard. Bit of an upgrade. I reckon the old shorts might need a bit of a change out as well. They're not looking too flash. Still keeping everything inside though, so we'll push on with those for a bit longer. So that's the top and bottom on both sides, so 4 pieces. I put them in the vise and did one to the profile I wanted, and then ground all the rest of them down to that matching profile. So hopefully they'll look fairly similar. So I'll get those welded on and should be good to go. So that's them on. Not looking too bad. Not the sleek and slimline design I was after, but they'll do fine. Protect those lights. I think once they're painted black, and I'll cork this top edge, and you've got 2 big spare tyres hanging off the bumper bar there, dominating the whole back area probably just disappear into nothingness. So on to the mudguards. That's one on. Still got the other one to go. I'll need to pull that up against the chassis when I get the tyre off. Pull it up against the chassis and weld down along the bottom edge. Then I'm going to caulk that whole perimeter. Stop any dust ingress. And the floor will go up against that as well, and I'll caulk to the edge of the floor just to give it another seal. Looking good. Guards on. Turned out okay. Still need to clamp them up to the edge of the chassis and weld them on there once the wheels are off. Got both of those on as well, so yeah, we're ready to get into the painting mode now. Just cleared the floor with a vacuum. I'll do it again before I paint, and I'll probably put down some drop sheets as well to try and keep the dust down. What I'm thinking I'll do is lift the back up with the block and tackle, and then put some 50mm through the recovery points, 50mm pipe coming out the back. I'll lift the whole thing up, and then that 50mm can sit on top of this. I don't need to paint inside those, so they won't get in the way of painting. I'll do it on both sides. That should be fairly stable. Got it up on some racks, ready to roll. I just put some 40mm blue through the end there on the A-frame, so that goes right in a couple of meters, and got it across 2 horses there, so that's pretty steady. I've taped it all up. I've wrapped the suspension up like a baby in a blanket, so that's all covered. I'll leave that on until I finish, obviously. I got the rear ones through the recovery hitches sitting onto those horses as well, so it doesn't move. I've also got the block and tackle just there as a bit of extra redundancy. I'll take that off once I get to that bit to paint. And I've got a couple of more horses just sitting under various spots, so if it does collapse and I'm under there, I've got a bit of time to get out. The paint and stuff I'm using, so the Raptor U-Pole is the etch primer. It's a epoxy primer, that comes with a hardener. Just mix it, chuck it in the gun. It's going to use a 1.4 to 1.7mm gun. I've got a 1.7. It's brand new, never used one of these style before with a gravity feed. So this could be a bit of an experiment for me. I've painted a few things in my time, but nothing like this. And top coat, I've got black Raptor, pretty common product people know about. I won't go into a lot of detail around that, but it gives a pretty solid, hard, protective coating with the chunky finish, which you might be able to see there in the picture. And that's applied with this Schutz spray gun, which just screws on top of the bottle, basically, and plug it into the compressor and hit it. I have no idea how that's going to work out. I've seen a few YouTube vids, that's about it. I've never done it myself. It could be a disaster. I could end up spraying the most of the shed. I have covered my bikes and the wheels and a few other things just to stop the overspray issue. Hopefully that's enough. But yeah, I've got to give it another wipe with some metho, with a clean rag, vacuum the whole floor, maybe hit it with a compressor just to get any dust from overnight that's settled on it off, and then yeah, vacuum the whole thing again, and maybe put some drop sheets down, and away we go. So I'll get into it. We're up to the mixing stage for the epoxy primer. This is 4 parts this to 1 part that. So I've got 2 of these jars of the same size. That's 1/4 of a cup and a full cup's to the top of that. So I've got 4 to 1 there. Then I'll tip it in there and mix it in that. I'm only going to do a small batch for the first run because I don't want to realise it's not working and then waste paint as it hardens. And I'm just going to put it in the gun. I've got the vise set up, clamped softly there so I can tip it in without making a mess. That's the plan anyway. I should add this this stuff isn't the nicest stuff. It can be sprayed at home, but you do need to wear a respirator, which I've got, and I've got the shed door open, which creates a cross breeze through and out that door, so there's good ventilation. So I've used exactly half the paint, and I spilt a bloody quarter of one of the spray tins onto the ground because it tipped upside down. Really hard to get these angles underneath with the gun, and it's a lot of tight spaces, so I'm hitting it too hard, too close in some spots, which is causing runs. But all in all, it's not looking too bad. I reckon I'm nearly halfway through, and I'm halfway through the paint, so I might just get it done, or I could be dashing down to Repco to get some more. Keep it going. I'm no panel beater spray painter, but it turned out okay. A couple of little spots I couldn't get to with that gun, tight spots, so I'll have to get a little, we can get this in a spray pack. Might grab one from Repco now and hit those little spots with that, give this a bit of time to dry. It says that it can, in 3 to 4 hours at 20 degrees, it's dry. So I can actually paint this afternoon, put the top coat on. It says top coat without sanding, 1 hour to 7 days. I don't really know what that means, but I'm assuming at 20 degrees, 3 to 4 hours, that'll take me to early afternoon. Then I can start hitting it with the top coat Raptor. We'll see how it looks anyway, and where the runs are, whether I can hit those with a little bit of wet and dry just to take them down, and maybe top up with a spray pack, I'm not sure. Had to get out of the shed because I was going to kick up dust, and that was not going to be good for the epoxy primer. So I've come to Bunnings and to buy a heap of crap that I don't need. I did get a couple of things I do need. I've got a 23mm socket so I can tighten up those Canberra toe bolts on the swing arms. I got a couple of sanding blocks so I can knock the top off the dribble marks in the epoxy primer, and I got a couple of tins of rust-proof black enamel just for spots that I'm not going to put the Raptor on. I'll explain a bit about that later on, but yeah, got out of there pretty safe. Oh, I bought another pair of safety glasses because the ones I've got I can't see through because they're that scratched. Get back to it. She's looking like it's dry. It says 3 to 4 hours at 20 degrees. It's about 25 or 26 in here at the moment, and she's been sitting for about 4 hours, so I reckon I'm safe. I did see some runny bits right at the back, which is the last bit I sprayed that was a bit tacky still. So what I might do is just get going with the Raptor. That goes in there with a bit of hardener mixed in, shaken up, put that in, hook it on the compressor. Away we go. Wearing a hat this time because my hair's full of grey paint now, so I thought I'd better wear a hat for the black. I will try and get through this with 3 bottles instead of 4. I want to save one for the front toolbox, front box that goes on the drawbar here later on. I'm only going to coat the areas that are going to have impact, so the whole drawbar, all these bits down here, those bits along there. I've just hit the spots that I want to protect from rust and so on with a bit of rust paint, like the tank hangers. Painted those, the tops of those, a few other bits and pieces. The tops of these where we're going to be glued, floor's going to be glued, but no, there's going to be no stones hitting them obviously. So just to save a bit of Raptor. We'll see how we go getting through it, but I might just use 1 tin, and then I'll see how the back's going in terms of dryness and continue on if it's looking okay, or stop and pause and reconvene maybe tomorrow if not. That is seriously chunky. It's like it's covered in plastic. Not sure I love it, but it's there to stay now, that's for sure. So that's one bottle to do the whole drawbar, top, bottom, sides. I got a bit in there as well. So that's probably 2 bottles to there. Maybe 3 bottles to there. I reckon I'll be going back for more bottles for the toolbox, for the front box. I'm not sure if I'm going to paint all these guards in it because they're going to be internal, most of them, but I can do the outside edge. I definitely need to do the fronts of all these, so I might do the fronts of all those first, get all them done and underneath, and then prioritise the rest from there. Forgot to put my respirator and open the door, which was not a great start, but we got there in the end. Shed floor's never going to be the same again. If anyone's wondering how much Raptor you use on a 5.3 metre chassis, it's 4 bottles, exactly. That's how much I went through, except for missing that bit there, which is really annoying. Yeah, I've got to paint the front box with a new bottle when I get it, so I might just hit that little bit. Hopefully there's nothing close by, because this goes everywhere. My entire floor, my garage door. Look at that. Hopefully that comes off. Juicy. Anyway, pretty happy. There's some bits I'll just do with black spray can, like the back of those mud guards. In hindsight, probably didn't really need to do the top of them, but I went for it. So we'll give this some time to dry. Hopefully tomorrow sometime it'll be touch dry, and then I can start putting all the candy back on, like the Boss jockey wheel and the DO35 I can fit off, my wind down steadies, put the wheels back on. Then, not sure what's next. We'll figure that out later. That's all the candy on, looking pretty sexy. That's the front steady on. That looks really neat. I'm pretty happy with that. It's turned out really well. I already showed you the jockey and the hitch. Got the wheels on, painted that cap. I'll probably scratch that pretty soon, I'd imagine. These need to be rotated, I think, because that's rattling. When that rattles, it will hit the chassis and take paint off, which I'm not going to love. So job for Ron later on. I'll flip that around and put it on. What's next? I don't actually know. I rang the tank place to see when the tanks were going to arrive, and they're closed until next week. So there's a week out of my equation, which I won't have. I think I'll just bring the floor in, put it on, clamp it down in place, and then start getting on with internal fit out arrangements. I've got to put a shower base in over here, so I need to know where the waste is going to go. I've got to figure out the penetration through the floor, into some PVC, which will run forward into the grey water tank. I can even do the brake cable. It's probably a good thing to do when there's nothing there in the way. I can run trailer wire, so put a piece through the chassis, pop it out here for electric brake and also for side lights. Run it through here, put the light on at the back, maybe pull a piece out there for a rear camera, haven't figured that out yet. Other light, bring it back down through to here for the other side lamp and electric brake. I think that's all I need to allow for, and also just leave a pull of wire in here for later on to run a heavy ampage cable through for battery, car battery to DC charger in the caravan to charge batteries when driving, and whatever else I need power for. So yeah, all those things can be done over the next few days, and I'm sure I'll be able to fill the time in. May even take a day off, given I haven't had one really for the whole period. Yeah, looking good. Pretty happy with progress so far. So that's the adjuster, tensioner for the handbrake. As you can see, it just clears the jockey wheel, but that's not at full extension, so I'm losing a bit of my adjustment there, but I've still got a fair bit left. Whether that's enough, only time will tell. I could modify this arrangement a bit more. I think that bracket at the end's got too much slop in it. I could make a different bracket up that brings that in closer, or I could probably put tensioners down the other end if this doesn't work out. But I think there'll be enough to tension there. I'll just make sure I pull them, the cables really tight when I put them in so that they're already tensioned at that setting, and then I can just pull them up a little bit more for tightness. Get into it. That's it. She's all in, cut off, tidied up, a couple of zip ties just to neaten it all up, a bit of black tape on the end to stop the thing burring and flaring out and causing a stabbing injury later on, which I've had in the past with that cable. And a zip tie around the guide area as well, just to keep it in there, because it kept popping out because of the angle I've got it on here. So it runs back through the swing arm hanger, through the eyelet under there, down the chassis, through the hitch down the end, and the same on the other side. It's looking good. I'll just see how the hitch goes at the other end now. So that's in. All good. Trying to move it, not possible. Good to go, and still got that much adjustment when she stretches a bit over time. Looking good. Houston, we have a problem. Floor was cut out to fit the chassis before the guards went on. The guards have got a bit there that sits proud of the chassis rail, so I need to remove that section, but it's not that simple because I've got to get it over the lip. If I drop it on from the side with the two ends cut out, it won't get past this, so essentially I'm going to have to cut the whole thing by a couple of mil on either end, either side, down there and down there, which 2 mil cuts aren't fun. Hopefully it's all right. Last resort, hit it with a belt sander on the edges as well. Painful. I should have cut them a couple of mil short of the edge, knowing that I'm going to cork that edge anyway. When I put it in, there'll be a cork line through there. You live and learn. See how this goes. It could be disastrous. Sorted. Cork that edge once I glue it in. Good as gold. The amount of times I put this tape measure down and then can't find it again, it kills me. I reckon 20% of my build has been looking for a tape measure. God damn. Yeah, looking good. Pretty happy with progress so far. But that's it for another episode. So I will see you in the next one. Hopefully we'll get onto a bit of plumbing and you'll see tanks going in and all that sort of stuff. Cheerio for now though. There it is. Took it inside when I was looking at something on SketchUp and put it next to the computer, didn't I? God damn.